السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. الله حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Brothers and sisters, the topic I selected for today is regards to worries, anxiousness, distress, things that we may be facing throughout our lives, and especially in this day and age. So I wanted to give a reminder to myself, all of us together. So when it comes to worry and feeling anxious or distressed, we can divide this into two broad categories. So one category, brothers and sisters, is the type of worry and stress and anxiety that is not worth it, that is actually not commendable. It really has no benefit. And mainly, this is related to worrying and stressing about things of the dunya. And there are many examples, but one example that comes to mind is when we get worried and anxious, when we fall into the trap of shaitan of doing israf, extravagance. There's countless number of examples, but I just have time to go through this one. That, sometimes if we fall into this trap, we may look to others as an example. We may be at a certain level at life, we have a certain amount of wealth, property, etc. And we see that our friends and maybe even some of our relatives, and even close relatives, maybe our siblings, have so much more. More, bigger, more expensive, whatever it is. And we start to worry over that. Why are we in this situation? It could be, why does my own brother, my sibling, why does he have so much I don't have? Don't I deserve that? Then we start to get anxious, feel distressed over this. How can I reach that level? I want to be at that level. My family wants us to be at that level. Why aren't we? So we get stressed out. And we start either to work hard or worry about it, and it preoccupies our mind, distracts us from the important matters. Maybe it even makes us sick. As we know, stress, the wrong kind of stress, will cause physical damage to our body. Maybe we get a chronic disease. Maybe we get heart disease. This is part of the problem. So this is all worry that is not worth it. Not commendable. Shouldn't be there. Another example is, that's very, has become an issue in this day and age, about the walima for our children. Our friend, our relative, whatever, their son, daughter has such a huge walima. Beautiful. So many guests. The food is so expensive. The place is so expensive. It's like a palace. We want the same, but maybe we can't afford it. So we get stressed and worried, and we want to reach that level. We stress ourselves out maybe by working, or maybe, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbid, we end up being tempted to do something haram to get enough money or whatever it is to have that level of extravagance. So brothers and sisters, this is one category. That I remind myself, all of us, let us not fall into that trap. There's nothing worthy about it. So what I want to concentrate on is the second category. The second category, brothers and sisters, is feeling anxious, worry, concern, distress, stress that is commendable, that is worthwhile. And because of that, we hope that there will be a reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this type of stress and worry is for what? It is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is for the sake of the deen. It is for the akhirah. So we worry about these things. That's what we should be worried about. And we shouldn't bother about worrying about all these other things. That's not commendable. As an example, what are some examples? Some examples are types of worry that each and every one of us can have all the time. For example, a believer who worries all the time whether his ibadah is correct or not. This is commendable worry. This is worry that's worth it. And then there's other benefits to this type of worry. If a person is really concerned and anxious, are they doing their salah correctly, for instance? Then that will lead to other good things. We'll do the things that are necessary. We'll make sure we learn. Go take a class, a course, read, gain the necessary ilm for us to do our ibadat correctly. So it has so many benefits. Although we're worried and anxious about it, it's for a good cause, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why I said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept that and reward us for that. Another type of worry, brothers and sisters, is we should be worried and anxious and sad for our brothers and sisters who are suffering. I don't think there's any part of the Muslim world left where our brothers and sisters are not suffering. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make everything easy for them. But we should be worried about that. We should be anxious about that. We should be stressed out about that. Isn't that something that's worthy? Isn't that something that will make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy? Isn't that a demonstration of true brotherhood? But if we are more preoccupied, more worried and stressed and distressed and anxious about this thing, this luxury that we must absolutely have, whether other people have it or not, we just want it. And we're always concerned about that. And we always want to strive towards that. And we're distracted because of that we don't even have time to think about these other things, these examples I'm giving, like our brothers and sisters are suffering. So let us be worried and concerned about things, but things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll give you another category, kind of a subcategory of this one, of commendable worry. And that is when we're willing to take more responsibility for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can only have this worry and this anxiety if you step forward and take responsibility for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As I've been talking about after the last couple of khutbahs, about how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to serve the community, take responsibility for the community. If we do that, it's going to get harder. The level of worry and concern and distress is going to get higher because the responsibility is higher. But it's for a good cause again. Let me use an example, an analogy. If we're at work, okay, and we have higher level responsibility, higher position in the job, or we have a big project, worth with a big budget, lots of people maybe working for us, or even not working for us, but it's an important project, your boss is depending on you. Okay, we will get worried, we'll get concerned, we might even get stressed out. What if I make a mistake? What if I get fired? What if I lose my job? Okay? So brothers and sisters, we have to have that for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we can get that only if we take responsibility. The first two examples I gave is for all of us, anytime. The next few examples I want to give, next two examples, are only if we take responsibility. But inshallah, we hope that the reward will be greater from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One for taking the responsibility, and the other one for being concerned for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for doing that responsibility correctly. Whatever that may be. Some brothers have taken the responsibility to open the masjid. Now they have to be here at a certain time. They can't be late. If they're late, they're creating an unsafe situation for the other volunteers and all the people who are coming, or preventing the brothers to come in to pray salah. Maybe they're worried about that. They should be worried about that. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a simple example, but let me give you an example from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself when he went to the Isra and the Mi'raj. Of course, when he came back, he told the people about it. So here's an example when we take the responsibility of giving da'wah, telling people about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we do that, it is certain that we will face some sort of hardship, some sort of worry, some sort of anxiety, stress, distress. Because some people are going to mock. Some people are going to be, speaking against and saying, you're lying. We're going to have to hear these words if we're giving the da'wah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was telling the people, first he was mocked. Before, the Quraysh used to tell the people, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. What he's saying. When he's, telling them about the deen and reciting the Quran to them. The Quraysh are telling, the enemies are among the Quraysh are saying, don't listen to him. Now when he telling the story that he went to Isra and Mi'raj in such a short time, they're telling the people, come. Why? Not out of any sincerity. Now it's because they want people to make fun of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now listen to the hadith here. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as narrated by Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu, he said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I found myself in the Hijr, next to the Kaaba, and the Quraysh were asking me about the Isra, the night journey. Questions about Baytul Maqdis that I was not sure of. I felt more distressed and anxious than I had ever felt. This is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But this distress that he's feeling is for what? For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's only feeling it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's because he is doing his duty of giving the da'wah. But look how the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes. He says, then Allah raised it for me so that I could see what they were asking me about and answer all their questions. So brothers and sisters, if we take this responsibility, as long as we fulfill it and we worry about it, we'll have no fear, inshallah. It's good upon good. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never make us fail. The analogy actually I gave is not, the best analogy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never fire us. If we act sincerely, He will never fire us. It's only, we're going to get good, we're going to be rewarded for taking a higher level of responsibility, we're going to be rewarded for being worried for His sake, and the list of goodness goes on and on. As another example, brothers and sisters, That if we really want to worry for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, more than go above and beyond, let's say, we take responsibility. Like Abdul Rahman bin Auf, when he was given, he was entrusted with a heavy task of selecting the next Khalifa after Umar radiallahu anh. This is a huge decision with big responsibility. He felt the weight of that responsibility. He was so worried about it. He was so worried and concerned and anxious and stressed that he did not sleep that entire period until the Khalifa was selected. What is he worried about? Many things. He wants to make a right decision. He knows the consequences of making a wrong decision. It'll be all that consequence will be on his shoulders. So he doesn't sleep, and he goes around spending all his time asking all the believers for advice on this matter. What is the right decision? What is the right decision? Who should we select? He's even asking the old women in the city for advice on this matter, taking the matter so seriously. This is what it's worth to worry about. This is commendable worry. This is worry or concern or stress that's worth it. Also, brothers and sisters, if we engross ourselves for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time, and we're worried about what's commendable and worthy, we won't have time to worry about all these other things or indulge ourselves in all of these other things related to dunya. We won't have any time left for that. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to these few words. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah amma ba'd. Brothers and sisters, I also wanted to go over some remedies because we all face tests, throughout our lives, and we're all facing a test at this moment. So, but I think I'll leave that due to time considerations. Maybe we take it up next week, inshallah. Right now, I've been advised by the volunteers that there's some brothers praying outside of our property line who have not registered. So I wanted to give a reminder again about the seriousness of the matter. I know in the past we've been praying outside and even outside our property line and on the sidewalk, etc. But this was when there was no state of emergency, when things were normal. There's no issue there. But right now we're in a state of emergency until July 15th, and it may even be extended. When there's a state of emergency, it's governed by some legislation called the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act. You can look up yourself that if there's a violation of the regulations and requirements and conditions, such as limiting the number in a place of worship and keeping this certain amount of distance, that the fines are very heavy. They're trying to send a message that the matter is very serious. After all, it's a state of emergency. So the fine for an organization is up to $10 million. I don't know if you've ever heard of a fine. I have never heard of a fine that big before for anything else. So that means it's very serious. Now, we're not saying that one violation and they're going to slap us with $10 million worth of fines. But brothers and sisters, they could give a portion of that. Just like if we get a speeding ticket, it's this big, and then they let us off a little bit, if we have a good record from before, all that kind of stuff, and they give a percentage of it. What's a small percent of 10 million, brothers and sisters? The matter is serious. We cannot afford that, nor is there any need for that. There's no reason to get into that. Okay? So we're following these regulations strictly. So they have allowed us permission outside, but it's within our property line. Even if somebody prays outside of the property line, they will not be able to claim that, I'm praying on city property, has nothing to do with the masjid. They will not accept that. The authorities will not accept that. Whatever people are gathered outside, whether it's over the fence or inside the fence, doesn't matter. It will be counted against us. So brothers, who are praying outside. I've just been advised, that's why I had to take a few minutes to speak about this. There's a few brothers praying outside. The volunteers have told them and they're not leaving. So I want to make it clear, this is very serious. We cannot put the masjid in jeopardy for millions of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars over this. We're asking a simple request that you register. Just like everyone else here registered, alhamdulillah, follow the procedures. We ask you to follow those procedures. If not space, we've added a fourth Jummah that you can try for. You can try next week, inshallah. But please follow the guidelines. If we allow people, to do things outside of the guidelines, this issue is just going to grow and become out of control. So I advise the brothers who are praying outside to please refrain, come back for the next salah, register, and come back for another salah, whether that's at 4:30 or next week, whatever it is. So please don't do this. I hope we'll have your cooperation. The concern we have is, you may say to yourself, well, there's only a handful outside praying. The issue with the handful, brothers and sisters, if we allow it, it's going to become 2 handfuls next week, and 3 handfuls next week, and then we're going to be way over the limit. A bylaw officer comes, a police officer comes, or anyone, it doesn't have to be the government, could be all of these are authorized to go and give a summons or ticket or whatever is the case, and then we're in a big problem. So what I'm going to say is that we are going through this extra effort so that we can accommodate brothers outside in case it's full here. We're making this extra effort on your behalf, the community's behalf. We don't necessarily have to do that, but we did it. But if this issue continues and people do not cooperate and it starts to grow, which it will, so we have to take strict action now, we will have to shut down the outside salah facility. So we'll shut it down, turn off the speakers. So please your cooperation is appreciated so that we do not have to take that action. So I hope the brothers outside, they heard that message, and also brothers, if next week you're outside, please follow the rules and regulations. That would be greatly appreciated. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to these few words. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل محمد اللهم صل على جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى سائر الصحابة والتابعين وعلى عبادك الصالحين اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم ثبتنا على الإسلام اللهم نور قلوبنا بنور الإيمان اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون عباد الله اذكروا الله يذكركم واستغفروه يغفر لكم وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
استوت رأسه الله الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات سبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.